teenager in Slender Man stabbing gets 40 years in mental hospital. A Wisconsin teenager was sentenced on Thursday to 40 years in a psychiatric hospital for trying to kill a friend to gain the favor of Slender Man, a fictional internet character. The girl, Morgan Geyser, 15, pleaded guilty last year to attempted first-degree intentional homicide as part of a deal in which prosecutors agreed not to seek prison time. Her lawyers and doctors said that when she and another friend, Anissa Weier, who were both 12 at the time, committed the crime, Miss Geyser was delusional as a result of schizophrenia and psychotic spectrum disorder. Miss Weier pleaded guilty to a lesser charge, being a party to attempted second-degree intentional homicide, and was sentenced in December to 25 years in a psychiatric hospital. Miss Geyser's lawyers had argued for a shorter commitment in a less restrictive facility, saying she no longer showed symptoms of psychosis. 2 doctors called by the defense testified to that effect. But another doctor testified for the prosecution that Miss Geyser still posed a danger to the public, and that she had described hearing voices as recently as September. In handing down the sentence, Judge Michael O'Brien, of Waukesha County Circuit Court, said he considered a 40-year commitment reasonable and fair, taking into account the unique circumstances of this case. Miss Geyser's lawyers can petition for her release every 6 months. It's a long time, Judge O'Brien acknowledged, especially for a 15-year-old. But this is an issue of community protection. This is an issue to be sure there's no recidivism. This is an issue to ensure that Miss Geyser doesn't have a revolving door situation where she ends up being in the community and then things fall apart and she comes back. Continue reading the main story. Related coverage. Milwaukee suburb tries to cope with girls stabbing June 7, 2014. State of the art. Slender Man story and the new urban legends July 9, 2014. Slender Man, a horror meme, gets ready to step out of the shadows May 6, 2016. After their arrest, Miss Geyser and Miss Weier said they had stabbed Peyton Leutner because they wanted to please Slender Man, a fictional character generally depicted as a tall, shadowy figure with a blank face. They said they believed that Slender Man was real and lived in a mansion in the woods in northern Wisconsin, and that by killing Miss Leutner, they would become his proxies. On Thursday, Miss Geyser spoke briefly at her sentencing hearing and began crying as she apologized to Miss Leutner, referring to her by a nickname. "I just want to let Bella and her family know I'm sorry," she said. "I never meant this to happen. And I hope that she's doing well." The crime happened more than 3 years ago, when Miss Geyser, Miss Weier and Miss Leutner were 6th graders at Horning Middle School in Waukesha. In May 2014, Miss Geyser and Miss Weier lured Miss Leutner into the woods, where Miss Geyser stabbed her 19 times with a kitchen knife as Miss Weier urged her on. Anissa told her to lie down so she wouldn't lose blood so quickly, and told her to be quiet, Miss Geyser told Judge O'Brien, her voice trembling. "And we left." Miss Leutner managed to crawl out of the woods and find an adult. Over the course of several months, she recovered from her injuries and was able to return to school. But doctors said one of the stab wounds had come within a millimeter of an artery whose breach would have killed her. If the knife had gone the width of a human hair further, she wouldn't have lived, Dr. John Kellerman, a thoracic and cardiac surgeon who operated on her, told ABC News at the time. In a letter to the judge read in court in December at Miss Weir's sentencing, Miss Leutner's mother said her daughter would struggle with the events of that day and physical and emotional scars it left for the rest of her life. Anthony D. Cotton, a lawyer for Miss Geyser, said in a phone interview on Thursday that the sentence was expected. Under Wisconsin law, he noted, commitments to psychiatric facilities can be terminated early if the patient is compliant, so it can make sense for a judge to impose a larger number and evaluate as time goes on. Mr. Cotton said Miss Geyser's lawyers intended to petition for her release regularly, as long as Morgan continues to do well. He said the team had not yet decided whether to appeal the sentence. As long as she takes her medication and follows her orders, she's certainly well enough to be in a less restrictive setting than inpatient commitment, he said. There are services available in a more therapeutic, less restrictive environment that she should be able to take advantage of.